Hello and welcome to episode 32 of Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things. This is your co-host, Sam. I'm here with Sean. Sean, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing very well. We have come here today to talk about episodes 2, 3, and 4 of the series Andor on Disney+. This is a Star Wars series, falls under our Nerdy Things category. So this will be a spoiler review for episodes 2, 3, and 4 of the Andor series. So if you have not watched those episodes, please do. We are going to give rough summaries, but not very much detail, and we will talk about spoilers. Sean, anything else to talk about before we jump in?
I just want to ask, after 3 more episodes, has your opinion of the show changed? Because you were very saucy about episode 1.
Yeah, I did not like episode 1. However, I'm happy to report that I liked episodes 2, 3, and 4. In fact, I liked them very much. And I'm really looking forward to talking about the things that I liked, because there were a lot of them, and they were varied.
Good. So like Sam said, we're going to do little brief recaps, but make sure that you at least get the major plot points from every episode, so you know the big wheels that are turning in the season 1 of Andor. So, to begin, we have episode 2, titled That Would Be Me, and the brief synopsis is Cassian attempts to lay low on Ferrix as agents of the law close in. Now, with episode 1, we had the introduction of Cassian Andor killing these 2 Pre-Mor security agents, and then he escapes back to his home planet of Ferrix. We have a lieutenant, like this detective, who's trying to track him. He uses the information that Cassian was trying to find his sister, who was Kenari. He uses that information to track down the location of the planet that he came from, so they know Ferrix is the planet. And then they put out a bulletin, and that bulletin contains some information that they're looking for a Kenari male. Unfortunately, someone on Ferrix knows someone from Kenari, and that information is given over to the security force. And that's where the episode 2 kind of leaves off. We have the security company knowing about Cassian Andor, knowing where he is, and they go on the hunt. That's the end of episode 2. Sam, is there any other big plot points from episode 2 that I missed?
I would just add that we do get some continued flashbacks to Cassian as a young boy on Kenari. Is it Kenari or Canary?
Kenari.
We get a little hint at what might have happened. Actually, I think it's explained in this episode, or in these set of episodes, that Kenari was a mining planet, or a center of mining. And we see we have some dialogue later. We see a young Cassian overlooking a massive mining pit and some abandoned machinery. We do get a sense that there's no longer a lot of activity there. And then later on, they talk about how Kenari was the site of a disaster that killed a bunch of people. And basically, nobody lives there anymore. It's prohibited to go there. And then in this flashback, we also see his troop of kids. We get a sense that he is the youngest member of the troop. He's a struggle for him to keep up. And we see in the flashback him observing as one of his kind of fellow tribe members investigates the crash and is then shot by a survivor of the crash. And that prompts all of the remaining children to shoot darts at the survivor, ostensibly killing him. It took a ton of darts.
Well, I think I interpreted it as they were poison tipped or something.
Yeah. Takes a second to act.
After 10 or 12 of them, think Ace Ventura. One of them kind of numbs an arm, but it took 10 of them to finally knock him out.
Yeah, no, that's a good analogy. Yeah, and so we get that, and I guess we also get the first hint at the character played by Stellan Skarsgård. We see him approaching the settlement on Ferrix, and there's actually, I think the episode ends with a great bit of dialogue from one of his fellow, or a junk dealer that is driving, or a junk buyer, who says if it's not worth getting, it's not on Ferrix, or something like that, which I took as a meeting about apply that to Cassian. Yeah, I liked. So just real quick to go back to the whole how did I like this? I liked this episode a lot because We get some more character development. We see a jealous Timmy, or Tim with two M's. We get a little bit better sense of the relationships that Cassian has, including with the character Marva. I love the fact that he's got like a stuffed bantha in his room. Did you catch that? Like, that's great little details, and I think the later episodes are going to kind of fill in some of their relationship. But what I really liked was the stuff with the security forces. I thought the Sergeant Mosk that is like trying to, putting together a team. We need 12 men to deal with it or whatever. I liked him a lot, even though he's kind of a fascist, like kind of an authoritarian, but his character was really good.
Well, that's the thing. Like, this whole point is like this security force. So with this Sergeant Mosk and this Cyril, they seem to be of the mindset of, we need to act like the Empire to keep order.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, it's like, if the Empire really took over, that would be what they would want. Like, that's their desire, or how they want to run the ship, is a very imperial model. And with this detective director who wants to fudge the report to make it look like they died saving somebody, those characters from episode 1, they're looking at him in disgust, like, what are you doing, man? We need 2 men died. We need to go save the day and right this wrong. And I really liked that dynamic of, you found some fascist neo-Nazis that want to turn this into like an imperial system.
Well, it's that plot line gets more interesting in episodes 3 and 4. So should we talk about all 3 of these episodes, summarize them, maybe have a little commentary, and then we'll come back and kind of do the overall where we are with the series?
Yeah. Episode 3, titled Reckoning. Cassian's desperation to avoid arrest leads him to a mysterious man with unknown connections. Now, the big plot point in this one...
That's such a vague summary. But
I know.
All right,
so
Disney Plus.
The major plot points in this episode, we have the security force going to Ferrix. Bix has called her contact who wants to buy the Starpath unit from Cassian. And pretty much all hell breaks loose. Now, this whole episode pretty much takes place on Ferrix. There's a couple jump scenes to Marva and young Cassian, and we find out that Marva ends up saving Cassian. Cassian, as a young boy, is on the ship destroying things, trying to be angry about industrialization on his planet, and then Marva saves him.
Kind of against his will. I described it as a kidnapping, but a benevolent kidnapping.
Yes, because she knows that, and so this is another huge plot point. It's not the Empire that they are trying to get away from, it's the Republic. Like, this is a long enough time ago where
I caught that.
It's a Republic ship that's gone down. So it's not the Empire that's strip mining this planet. It's the Republic. So not everybody's good and not everybody's wholly evil. It's just a very interesting dynamic. So also in this moment, Marva knows that the Republic is going to come and see that some indigenous population has killed some officers of the Republic, and they're basically going to kill all these kids. So Marva decides to save Cassian. And on Ferrix, we find out that Stellan Skarsgård's character is the buyer. He arrives, meets Cassian in a warehouse. The security forces are able to track Cassian via his comlink to the building. They basically surround the building. Cassian and this buyer have to fight their way out. They're able to do so. One of the coolest scenes at the end, when they rig one of the little speeder bikes with a bunch of explosives as a decoy. And then as they're escaping on their second speeder bike, they detonate and kill a whole bunch of corpos, as they call them. But yeah, that's episode 3. Those are the big plot points that I had. That's the brief synopsis. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Just a quick highlight that during the effort of the corpos to arrest Cassian, seemingly the entire town is kind of anti-security force, and so they are spreading the word, and that prompts Bix to try and warn Cassian that this is happening, and the security forces detain her, rough her up a little bit. Her boyfriend slash boss, on again, off again thing.
Employee. He's not the boss. She's the boss.
She's the boss?
She's the boss.
Oh, that was not clear.
I thought it was pretty clear to me.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to episode 1.
There's a moment where she saucily comes in episode 3 and goes, I thought you said all this was going to be out of the alley. And he goes, oh, yep, sorry, forgot about it. I'll go do it.
Oh, I see. I thought that was him kind of being don't know how to pronounce that word right now, so I'm not going to try. I thought that was him kind of deferring to her because while he might own the business, she's more of a doer. Like she's...
Man, you're all about the patriarchy.
Yeah, well, sorry.
No, I thought that was very clearly she's the boss. And she was like, go do this thing that you said you were going to do.
Oh, well, then I kind of don't like him because he was snooping on her computer then.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay. Then that was a little bit more nefarious. I thought she was being more sneaky. Okay.
No, Tim's a dirtbag because he gets jealous, turns in Cassian, stalks her at the bar.
Totally. And then
he's a douche.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then I don't know if he gets what he deserves because he is murdered by the corpos, but he does try to save her at the end. Total simp behavior, trying to white knight it. And, he got shot.
Gets shot in the chest.
Yep. And then the terrible part about that is that she's like chained to the wall and has to look at his corpse for however long.
For like an hour. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Oh, I forgot one other thing.
Yeah.
We also learned that Stellan Skarsgård's character, this buyer of goods, only came to Ferrix for Cassian. He didn't even want the Starlink unit.
Yes.
Because he has that conversation with him where he goes, I'll give you 40,000 for it. And if you tell me how you got it, I'll give you another 1,000. And that's how that dialogue. And this is what I love about this show is there's a couple moments and lines throughout this whole season. We'll get to my favorites in like episodes 5 or 6. It gets so good. But this line with Cassian where he says something along the lines of they're so full of themselves that they wouldn't even think that I would just walk in and take their things and spit in their food. And then Luthen, Skarsgård's character, says, yeah, the ignorance of them is overwhelming. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah. It was a recruitment speech, basically, right? I don't know if it's very hard not to see that Stellan Skarsgård is working for the Proto-Rebellion. I think we get some dialogue about who exactly that is later on, even though he's not definitive, but you get the sense that he's definitely anti-imperial. He's not just a black market dealer. He's got a political agenda and he sells it pretty hard. And you get hints too that he's done his research. We get more of these hints in the next episode. So he knows more about Cassian than Cassian would expect just a random junk dealer to know. And that's kind of layered in. Also, it's great. He's already kind of teaching him stuff about espionage, like lesson number 1, create your exit. Or like always create your exit, and he like blows up the doors. I did write down Death Factory because the building that they were in was so dangerous with all those huge chains and the gears just like flying everywhere. Really great effect. And I was kind of looking at it from like a D&D perspective of like, this is like on initiative count 0, the room changes and there's these hazards that you have to account for. But that was really fun. And just that whole kind of, recruitment to kind of demonstrating some of this craft, this trade work and how to be a spy. That was a ton of fun. And then you get kind of this ongoing parallel between the Marva rescuing him as a child and Stellan Skarsgård kind of getting him out. They're two contrasting scenes of Cassian kind of looking at the rising sun or looking at a sun as the ship is taking off through a planet's atmosphere. So that was a little on the nose, but it wasn't, it was well done. Let's see here. I also wrote down what a cluster, because you said when we were talking about the episode 2, like these corporate security people are kind of pretending like they're the Empire. They're police officers trying to pretend like they're soldiers, and they get completely owned by basically two people who have a little bit more creativity and a small amount of explosives. And it ends badly. And we see some of the fallout from that in the next episode.
Yeah, so episode 4, titled Aldani. The synopsis for this is, out of options, Cassian is recruited for a dangerous mission to infiltrate an Imperial garrison. Recruited He is basically a mercenary because this Luthen character is paying Cassian to join this mission. And now there's two main plot points in this episode. There's the Imperial side of it, and then there's the Cassian Aldhani side of it. Now, the Aldhani side of it, we have Cassian Andor shows up to Aldhani. Luthen meets with the leader of this group who's kind of conducting the mission. And it's about, what they say, 5 days before the mission's supposed to start.
Something like 3 or 5 days. Yeah. I think it's 3 by the end of the episode.
Yeah. So they land in 5 days. This mission is supposed to commence. They walk all the way back to their camp. At the end of that, they say there's 3 days until the mission. All of the other members of the group are really pissed off that she's adding someone last minute. None of them know about Luthen. She apparently is the leader. And Luthen tells this character whose name is Vel to say that Cassian was her idea and come up with a lie as to why he's joining so late. No one was really buying into it, but because she's the leader, they all kind of acquiesce to her. And then that's pretty much where we leave off. We have a loose understanding of what the plan is. They're going to break in. They have a lieutenant of the Empire who's working with them at this base. The whole plan is centered around this cosmic event called, oh gosh, the Eye.
The Eye or something. Yeah. It's like
the
a
Eye
meteor
of
shower
Aldhani,
type thing.
Yeah. And they're going to steal the money and escape just before this huge meteor shower happens. And then that's going to be their escape because there's no escaping once the meteor shower begins. And then the Empire side of things, we discover that there's this ISB, this Imperial Security Bureau, and they are tasked. They're kind of like the CIA of the Empire. They do covert operations to stop rebellion. They information gather to stop rebellions. Pretty much all they do. And then we figure out that there's an individual who is starting to connect some of these events across all of the different sectors. And she believes that there is a more planned sequence of events that could be potentially dangerous to the Empire. And she's beginning to piece together that there is a rebellion galaxy-wide, not necessarily localized to any individual planet. And then at the very beginning of the episode, we have our corporate security officers who are put in their place by one of these ISB agents and basically tells them Morlana 1 and this sector is under Imperial authority, and they are all relieved of their duties. I think one of the funniest scenes is Cyril going home to his mother.
So good.
Who immediately slaps him.
Yeah, it was great. And then yells at the neighbor for snooping.
For snooping at the slapping, yeah.
I
left something out, so I'm going to give you a moment to see if you want to.
Well, there is also the
big plot point.
So as the computer is doing the landing sequence, Luthen he changes his clothes. Does he put on a wig or just like redo his hair?
No, he puts on a wig.
Puts on a wig and he kind of puts on all this jewelry, and you can see him kind of change his physical demeanor, and he smiles and he puts on a different identity, or maybe this is who he was before he became Luthen, the spy master, seemingly. And he is, I guess it's like basically an antique gallery or an art gallery. And he meets Mon Mothma. Mon Mothma comes into his shop. There's a little bit of banter about a gift for her husband. He says, "Oh, I've got something in the back." They go in the back and they start talking about basically what is, as Sean, as you described, the seeds of an organized rebellion. They're talking about getting money and how she's having a hard time, and how the emperor or the imperial spies are all over the Senate, and she's got a new driver who it's implied is likely a spy. And then we get a little scene of her going back to her house, which, by the way, her house is phenomenal.
It's cool, right?
And this is something that I wanted. This is one of the things that made me really like the show. The set design is fantastic. The ISB conference room where they're all meeting and giving their updates is so good.
And that actor, like the director of the ISB.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about. So I was like, oh, that's Master Qyburn from Game of Thrones. Really good at like subtly he's like, I think in the Game of Thrones, the books, that character is described as a kindly grandfather who is secretly a necromancer.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so that character or that actor is, in my mind, really good at the outwardly placid, gentle, calm facade behind it, like an evil spider, basically.
Well,
and it's so fitting that he's the head of the ISB.
And playing that trope of old British evil guy.
Yes, that's
like
that
with
too.
all the other ones that we've had in Star Wars, this guy fits the bill perfectly.
Yep.
So I loved him. I mean, like you had mentioned earlier, with Luthen transforming into his alter ego, just that. There's two characters in this show. The acting is just so phenomenal. You have Stellan Skarsgård throughout. He gets so much better. That you also have Andy Serkis later in the season. His character is also phenomenal. Just the two of them. And yeah, that scene where he puts the wig on, the jewelry, the coat, and he transforms into somebody else. Like, that acting is just so good.
Yeah.
And yeah, the driver from Mon Mothma is definitely a spy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about these series of episodes, but these four, we have this rebellion is beginning. We get references to other characters as well, like on Aldhani, when the young kid who's part of the group falls asleep while he's supposed to be on watch.
Nemec.
Yeah. We have the other guy comes up to him and says, "Oh, if you would have been part of Saw Gerrera's or this other," he names all these groups that are in Star Wars lore as other rebellion factions before the rebellion. Your head would be on a spike and they'd be laughing at you.
Yep.
So
I wrote down Saw Gerrera. That was the only name that I recognized, but I did kind of like the reference. There were some other references too. In the ISB conference room, in one of the updates, it's kind of like a generic throwaway line about how like more resources are being sent to Scarif, which we know Scarif, that's the Imperial base in Rogue One.
They also mentioned Ryloth.
I know that name. I know the Ryloth is a system, but I don't know if
it's where the Twi'leks are from, I believe.
That's right, with the head tentacles, basically.
The Leku is what they're called.
Okay, Sean. Okay. There's also, so if we're doing deep cuts here, there was a reference to Rakatan or Rakatan. I don't know how to pronounce it, but which I didn't know that was Disney canon, because I know from kind of Star Wars pre-Disney stuff, the Rakatan Star Empire or whatever was like the civilization that predated the Republic, I believe. Do you know anything about this?
No, but it might be canon now. I mean, all it takes is one Disney show mentioning something and boom, it's canon.
Yeah, I think they're probably bringing things into canon, and something like that is so deep history of the universe or the galaxy that it probably, you don't really need to do much, but it's something that you could tap into if you wanted. Yeah. Okay, so there were just so many fun little things about this episode. I like the fact that the explanation of the planet Aldhani was really good. Like when that woman, I can't remember that woman's name, but she's also a Game of Thrones actor. There are 3 Game of Thrones actors that have not insignificant parts so far. Master Qyburn, or the head of the ISB, don't know the actor's name. The head of the corporate security, who is being dismissed, is Bronze Jan Royce, who was in the Vale. And then the woman who leads the group on Aldhani, she was the girl who was training Arya in Bravos and then tried to kill her. Anyway, love me some Game of Thrones actors. Glad to see they're still working. Okay, so the space sheep, when they walked by the little sheep thing, I like how the space sheep have these crazy horns. Like, that's how you know that they're in space.
They're Star Wars.
The horns are crazy. Yep.
Well, they do that with a whole bunch of animals. Like the animals at the shipyard on Ferrix are just dogs with like this rubber prosthetic outfit on. So it's like
they kind of looked like the wolves from Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power.
Yes. Yeah.
Which the less said about that, the better. I also like the group of the people. I don't know what to call them. Do we have a name for the group of rebels? Do they have a
on Aldhani?
Yeah.
No, they're just independent freedom fighters, basically.
They have AK-47s, which I liked. their weapons, like it's slightly space age AK-47s.
Blaster rifles, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, when I don't know if this was episode 4 or episode 3, but when Andor is talking to Luthen, he mentions a couple different groups. He says Alliance, Seps, and then something else. And I'm assuming Seps is separatists, the reference to the Clone War things, which I do like. And you kind of reference it too. There are all these separate groups that are opposed to the Empire. That's why it's the Alliance.
That's why it's the Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
And so this is kind of a spoilery territory. There's 2 things I'm going to mention. The first thing is something that happens later. So
earmuffs.
Plug your ears for like 10 seconds. But we see all of these other groups that they're mentioning. We actually see Saw Gerrera in this season. So
I think I knew that.
Really cool that I think it's Forrest Whitaker reprises his role as Saw Gerrera. So that's really cool. But then also there's a fan theory. This is the second thing, that Luthen is a former Jedi who's in hiding.
Oh.
So there's a moment where when Cassian and Luthen get to Aldhani, Cassian's like, how do I know you're not going to just screw me over? And he goes, I'll give you this Kyber crystal. And he goes, you can get like, what did he say? Like 50,000 credits for it or something.
Yeah, but then he says it's worth more to me.
He goes, it's worth far more to me. So I will come back for this. That's how you know you're going to be safe. So then the other thing is the cane that he walks with.
Yeah, I was going to say the cane
looks
is very
like a lightsaber.
Yeah.
And
I could see that.
So that's the fan theory, that Luthen is secretly a Jedi who's in hiding and trying to create this rebellion because, the Jedi Order doesn't exist anymore. So he's trying to fight the Empire however he can. So cool fan theory. I hope it turns out to be true, because that would be pretty fucking awesome if Luthen is secretly a Jedi.
That would be very cool. Well, let's see. Let's do a little name parsing here. Luthen sounds a lot like Luke, L-U. There's also like a Darth Revan, right?
Revan?
I don't know. It's from.
Why are you bringing up Darth Revan? He wasn't talked about in these 4 episodes.
I'm just saying, you put those 2 things together, you get Luke, Revan, Luthen.
I think you're just grasping at straws.
I'm grasping for straws, but I like that theory. Let's see. Anything else in this? I like the internal ISB politics too. Of seemingly the guy's like, your memos are late, turn your memos in. And then the one person, I didn't catch her name. I know it was given, but I don't recall what it was, but she's, trying to get jurisdiction over the case because it involves the NS9 Starpath module, which is
Daedra.
Okay. So I remember hearing that and thinking to myself, well, that's the term from Skyrim for the demon people.
Yeah, but you didn't know Daedra is a real name in real life? There's people named Daedra. Okay,
but I'm saying that's the only reason I say that is because what is this planet where Mon Mothma's from? They describe her as like Chandrillin or something like that. That's very similar to the term from Patrick Rothfuss's novels for another race of demons that exists in that universe. So I'm wondering if there's a person involved in the creation of the show who's a fan of demons from various fantasy things.
Or this is just a super obscure thing that you're piecing together that nobody's even thought of.
Maybe I'm in a conspiratorial mood here.
For the last year?
The last year? What are you talking?
Yeah, you just have some conspiratorial tendencies is all. So anyway.
Oh, because I said Amazon kind of emphasized the criticism of their show to jack up interest.
Oh, dude, there's so many. We could have a whole episode where I bring up all of the different examples, but we're not going to do that in this episode because this isn't Conspiracy 101. This is Elves, Rings, and Nerdy Things.
Oh, going back to episode 2, one of my thoughts here was booty call. I wrote down booty call.
When she shows up at Tim's house?
Yeah, and I don't know if there has been it's not explicit, but it's heavily implied sexual encounter. I don't know if there's been a heavily implied sexual encounter in any Star Wars content that I've consumed.
Besides Luke kissing his sister?
Yeah, which the less said about, the better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we get it. Like there's romance, but we've never seen it on screen.
But that's where you can get into these more darker adult themed episodes and series. You'll get more stuff like that.
Yeah. And a kid gets shot, right? I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Which, although she wasn't totally dead, seemingly. It looked like
she
she
was. No,
oh, she was?
dead.
Oh, I thought she
yeah.
was moving still. Oh, okay.
Nope. The kids were moving her, and then they picked her up and carried her away.
Kind of like a puppet.
Yeah.
Like a Weekend at Bernie's. Oh, I wrote this down. Just a quick little criticism. I don't really like the hammer clock for keeping time in Ferrix. I mean, come on, that's not accurate. Just get something digital. You know.
I liked it.
It's just a cool. It's a jobs program. That there's something that guy.
It's the whole concept of like these people are all like hardworking, work with their hands. Just have somebody do it.
Nobody wants to make a clock.
I mean, there's not much else like that. This seems very
well. It seems like the whole there's a clanging metal is very important in their culture, seemingly. Because
I was just going to say, in terms of Ferrix, like when you look at Morlana 1 and then look at Ferrix, like those definitely seem like two different cultures. One is much less technology based, Ferrix, and then you have one that is Morlana 1. So I don't know. I kind of like the idea that it doesn't really take me out of anything to have a guy hitting this metal bell, basically.
Yeah, I get it. It's not central. It's just something I was like, really, in this, you can't buy you have hologram. Oh, okay. So here's another thing. So the whole heist that they are doing on Aldani is they are stealing the Imperial payroll. Correct?
For a sector, yeah.
For an entire sector. So it's seemingly a lot of money. But here's my question. You have a transgalactic empire and they have physical payroll. They don't have direct deposit. Is there an explanation for this? Anyway, I'm just saying they've got holograms, they've got hyperdrive. You think they'd figure out direct deposit?
I mean, I'm just saying that's a very modern thing, and this is a galaxy long time ago, far away.
I don't throw that in my face. We all know. Okay.
So don't give me this. I can't believe they have this modern human thing. That
well, that's not that ridiculous though. They have the idea of credits, dude, right?
15 years ago, direct deposit was like a unheard of thing. If I go to Sam in the year 2005 and I'm like, what's one thing that the US monetary system is missing? Would you have thought of direct deposit?
Well, okay, no, but I'm not a visionary, but maybe I'm not a visionary for banking.
I'm going to suspend disbelief and just be like, they just haven't come up with it yet.
No, I mean, I get it, right? It's just like you think, but they have the ability to, if they can issue a planetary wide or an APB across multiple sectors, there's got to be like the Elon Musk, the Peter Thiel of the Star Wars universe, who is, innovating. Where's the PayPal of Star Wars? That's what I'm thinking.
So yeah, you apparently enjoyed these, but wanted to find something to really complain about, like episode 1.
It was just very obvious that it's like, so they've got hyperspace.
Sam hates the bell. Sam can't believe that they don't have direct deposit.
It's just, I get it. Okay, you don't want to come up with another MacGuffin, right? Of some rare mineral type thing. I get it. You're stealing money. You need to have the heist thing. I just think in a world where you can have intergalactic subspace transmissions and hologram networks. Also, did Daedra need a briefcase? What's in that briefcase?
I don't know. Her tablet.
Maybe fine.
Maybe some food.
It's her lunch. It's some blue milk. It's a bottle of blue milk.
Some cereal.
Those inflatable things that Rey eats in episode
the bread
6. Yeah, the inflatable bread, whatever it is, and a tablet. Okay, fine. I get it. That works.
You mean episode 7?
What did I say?
6.
I thought I said 7.
You said 6.
Anyway,
do you have anything else in 2, 3, 4?
No, I thought 2, 3, 4 was great. And so let's talk about what the things that I really liked and try to pick apart why I had a negative reaction to the first one. I think one is just, it's the overall, the world building. Episode 1 was not nearly enough time for me to get a sense of the world. A couple of episodes more, and that has been fleshed out. And now I really like it. I like the feel of it.
Well, even episode 2 is still a lot of plot and like background building, and it's not much even happens in episode 2. So I think if we would have watched episodes 1 and 2, I think you still would have had a pretty negative reaction to the show as a whole.
I don't know.
Episode 3 is where it really starts to kick in for me.
Okay, yeah, no, episode 3 was great. I mean, I think by episode 3, I was like, this, I'm locked in. But episode 2 did have some good stuff, though. I thought it has the booty call in it. It has Mosk, the introduction of Mosk, and kind of some of that. I did like that character. I thought it was really interesting. Then just see how like quickly he gets shut down by the Imperial guy at the end.
He raises his hand, and the Imperial's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. Oh, I did another thing. This was in episode 3 after the kind of the warrant, the serving of the warrant goes completely awry. The guy's calling for like Kazovac, and he like called for Bacta and stuff like that. And it was just a very funny, I don't want to say funny, but I like the fact that they continue to have Bacta, just referencing something that's been in the universe since really, I think episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Like it always pops back up. And that was just fun a little deep cut for people who know what Bacta is. I think that's everything I got though. Oh, question. Where does Cyril live on Coruscant? Yeah,
they lead you to believe that he goes home to his mother on Coruscant.
Okay. That's what I thought. I didn't know if that was like back on Morlana or something like that, but okay. So yeah, here we go. And I'm assuming that he is going to continue to be in the show, or are we going to see him again? Is he going to try to redeem himself?
Yes, Cyril does not go away. And
cool.
The only thing I'll say, his desire to catch Cassian Andor continues.
Okay.
And he uses the power that's in control to try to do that.
Interesting. Okay.
So we'll leave that there.
I did write down that he needs Toastmasters. Work on his impromptu speech giving. That was pretty
terrible speech.
Subpar there. Yeah, show was fun. I mean, I really like the world building. I like the politics stuff, the set design. The show just looks great. The CGI is good, but the practical stuff is fun. And then the costuming, it's all fantastic. It really feels authentic.
And the show only gets better. So I'm telling you, episode 10, 9 and 10 are probably some of my favorites, but the 2-part finale, episodes 11 and 12, like luckily, because we weren't doing 3 episodes at a time, and we started with episode 1 having its own, our final episode on Andor gets to be just the 2-part finale. So that's going to be a really fun episode to be able to talk about those two. So I'm really looking forward to it. This is my 3rd time watching through, and I'm not bored. So that's got to say something to the rewatchability of this. So yeah, I'm jazzed.
Yeah, this is fun. I'm looking forward to it. The only thing I regret is that just kind of spacing it out now, because we're recording once a week, because I would say this is binge worthy. Oh, can I make a prediction?
Sure. Do you want me to tell you if you're right or wrong? Or do you want to just play it out?
You know what we should do? I'm going to hold off on that. And we should have a I make predictions, and then you don't tell me now, but we keep track of them over the course of the season.
Okay.
I have a few. Can I do that now?
By all means.
Okay. Cyril joins the rebellion.
Okay. That's prediction 1. Prediction 2 is
Mon Mothma's husband is either dead or they are divorced by the end of the season.
Okay. Prediction 3.
Got to come up with prediction 3.
Or we can stop at 2.
No, I got a third one here. Nemec.
Okay.
He does not survive the heist.
Okay.
I wrote down that he's too nice to live. He's just very nice guy, but people like that don't fare well in commando operations.
In rebellions.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? That's all that comes to mind now, but I'm sure I will have more predictions after I watch more Andor.
The soonest we'll find out on one of your predictions, I believe, is our next episode, because the heist. Heist.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
The heist takes place in episode 5. I think we have one more on Aldhani before they actually attempt the heist. So yeah, we'll find out whether your prediction of Nemec surviving the heist comes true when we record next week.
Well, find out if I'm right or wrong and see what we think of the middle part of Andor Season 1 next week on Els, Rings, and Nerdy Things. I have been your co-host, Sam, here with Sean. Sean, say goodbye to everybody.
Not because you told me to, but bye, everybody.
Say it. Bye, everybody.